feel like if you leave this on in the night...
What on in there?
These ones, they will be full of moth. And I think that's cute.
Okay. Hey, what's up, you guys? I don't want to do this anymore. This is a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea. It's cool. Come on.
So obviously we decided to start a YouTube channel.
Quarantine.
Also,
things.
yeah. What else can we do? We're not talented enough to be on TikTok. We're not talented enough to be playing on Twitch.
And we're not influencers either, so we cannot go on Instagram.
No one's gonna look at me for beauty tips. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no
They
way.
ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not.
But we thought, what are a couple of gal pals to do when in need of a creative outlet? And that is the YouTubes.
Yeah.
So something we both really have in common are movies. We may express that differently though.
Yeah.
One of us is a cinephile and one of us is not, but we both enjoy films nonetheless. We sometimes do not agree.
We have very different opinions on what we like in films, what films we like to watch. So yeah.
What we're going to do here is start off with the MCU. I feel like everyone in quarantine is kind of like going back through the MCU and just watching all the films. So we're going to start from Iron Man all the way up to Endgame. In light of recent events, we are also going to do Twilight.
I thought that I was a fan of Twilight, but then I met you.
Yeah.
And that was on another level.
But for now, we're gonna go in with the MCU. I did not read comics growing up because I could barely read. Hey, dyslexia. I didn't start reading comics until maybe 2014, 2015. And even then, I still don't read a lot of comics. I think I find it like tedious to try and go back through and like work out all the fucking timelines and all that shit. I don't care. I don't care. I enjoyed the movies and I think that is enough and that is valid. Please don't hate me.
And then it's me.
Yeah.
Who was a big fan of the comic books when I was a child. I used to read comic books since I was growing up. I started reading more comics online, so I was familiar with Marvel, DC. However, I was a big DC fan when I was little.
Yeah, I will preference this with saying I am a massive DC fan. I prefer that overall. Again, drag me in the comments if you want to. So last night we watched Iron Man again. I haven't watched this film in years, like a long time. When was the last time you watched it?
Last year before Endgame, me and my best friend haven't. I think we started from Captain Marvel though, because we did it in like the order of like the chronological order and not just like release time. So yeah, it's still quite fresh in my mind. But not as fresh as I thought.
Yeah, Miss Things thought she had the plot down. She did not. This is going to be the kind of structure of the videos going forward. So we'll kind of like go through the plot just to pick apart points that we both noticed when we were watching it. Then we're just going to do overall thoughts about the movie. And then we're going to rank it using these criteria. So we're going to go plot and writing, visuals, soundtrack and score, and rewatchability. That, like, what does it give you the ooh-ah-ah sensation? Are you gonna watch it again? I remember when this film came out and I wasn't super jazzed about it. I didn't know who Iron Man was. You did though, right?
Yes, I was really excited about it, even though it took me, I think, 2 years to watch it, maybe 1.
Seems super excited about it. Name 12 of his songs if you're a real fan.
I have one of his quotes tattooed as well, but we're gonna...
Wait, that's his quote?
Yes.
Again, I know nothing. I think a big thing about this movie is that there's a clear difference between pre-kidnap Tony and post-kidnap Tony. Like, before the kidnapping, he was one person, he came out Iron Man. Like, he changed.
Doesn't that happen to every superhero?
Yeah, don't we all just go into a cave and get tortured and come out a superhero, you know? Pre-kidnap Tony, you know, typical billionaire playboy, definitely had a bit of a chip on his shoulder about his dad being the big man or whatever.
The fact that like you notice that watching it without them addressing it like directly, I think it's just like a really smart move because you can like sort of like understand why some of his actions were the way that they were. Very narcissistic as well. You can tell that he was more interested in just getting the ladies, you know, just being rich, enjoying the rich life that he had.
I love how you said interested in just being rich. Aren't we all interested in just being rich? I feel like pre-torture Tony was like a really great symbol, a great metaphor for America in a lot of ways, which I'm sure many people have said before me, but just massive ego, massively inflated sense of self, lack of empathy for the other side. Obviously he makes these weapons of mass destruction, but not really realising the damage they're doing elsewhere.
And that's the big switch, because he's now aware that there is the people that like his weapons are being used against are people as well. The people are dying. The like that whole scene in which he sort of gets attacked by a Stark Industries missile.
Yeah, like early on.
Yeah, I feel like it's like, oh shit, maybe I'm not doing things right. Hence why then we see the whole shift.
I didn't know this, but I believe you told me literally last night that Pepper and Tony weren't like together in the comics.
Yes. The films center more in having a relationship between Tony and Pepper, which works really well in my opinion. I think that was a really smart move.
So I didn't know that. I didn't know that they'd switched that, but I think the film makes it pretty apparent from the get-go that Pepper is supposed to be Tony's love interest. I think John made it very apparent that they were going to be making some bebés at some point down the line from the get-go, because you can tell that she was onto Tony the moment we saw her interact with that reporter, the moment that she cussed that bitch out. I don't understand where that reporter like even got off. She was so smug, like, I'm still doing Tony's laundry. Must suck for you. And I'm just like, you just slept with a man that you don't even like. We're all doing things we don't want, Miss Ma'am.
However, and I want to start some drama here, because I don't see this on your notes, and you made this very clear that you said that Pepper Potts was a boring character. She was plain. She was just there to be
Cancel Mickey.
So I want to know why.
I actually didn't say she was boring or plain. I've never said that about. I've never said that about Pepper. I have never said that about Pepper Potts. I do think that in this movie in particular, I cannot remember any of the other Iron Man trilogy. Like, I haven't watched them in years, so don't come for me. I don't remember much about Pepper. And in this particular movie, in Iron Man, I think it was very clear that she was set up to be Tony's love interest. And I think there wasn't much else to her at that point. However, I will say this, and I did say this also last night, so before you try and drag me again, bitch. I think that she was really integral in helping Tony.
Do you remember that scene in which she goes to the office and like gets the archives on the USB?
Yeah.
Do you remember how you were like, oh no, I don't like this because she didn't do this on her own initiative. She was just doing it because Tony asked her to.
Again, another tragic misquote. I asked you, did she do this of her own accord or did Tony ask? Because I wasn't paying super close attention. And you told me, no, Tony asked her to do it. The reason I asked is because I was saying, imagine if they had given her the initiative.
Yeah, but how was she supposed to know?
I don't know.
She didn't know yet.
All I'm saying is...
None of them knew.
All I'm saying is, in this particular movie...
Okay, I'm gonna give you that. It was 2008 as well.
It was a different time.
Yeah, feminism was not invented in the MCU yet. There was nothing like women power. No, that was not a thing. No.
I've also just got to bring it up. And I will bring this up in every movie because it is a fault in every movie.
Yes, and I agree.
What is her wig? What are movie wigs?
What are the wigs of the women in the MCU? What?
It's just so harsh. You can clearly tell it's a wig. It's just not a great wig. Not the worst wig. Not the worst wig.
Not the worst wig.
Something else I just noticed straight off the bat, that Terrence Howard was cast as Rhodes, and I did not remember that, like, at all. And I know now why I did not remember that, and that is because that performance was so shocking. It was so forgettable. I was just like, that's Rhodey? Really?
I mean, forgettable in the sense that now that, like, you know, Rhodey
now Don Cheadle is in the picture.
Yeah.
God bless. I also remember being, like, as a kid, really confused why Don Cheadle just popped up in the film. So I was like, okay, this is new. He's a new character. Bitch, he wasn't. I just forgot Terrence's performance. So we come to the pivotal point in the movie where Tony gets kidnapped in Afghanistan, you know, America's #1 enemy. And again, straight away, it's just like, wow, brown villains.
So one thing that, like, I notice here is how the coloring that the MCU uses for places that are not the US
I mean, I think that's a theme through many
it's
films.
really like yellow and filthy and just like ugly. Overall, like not
Dust.
visually pleasing. Yeah.
Dust.
Yeah, a lot of dust.
So he's in the cave, and we get introduced to Yinsen. I'm not pronouncing that correctly. I'm not. Again, white shame me in the comments. Completely forgot about him. What a man, what a character. And what a pivotal character he is. We owe everything to him. We owe the MCU to him. In so many senses.
Tony Stark losing people from the beginning.
One of the movie's great lines, and I think something that kind of plays out throughout the MCU, for Tony at least, is Yinsen saying, "Don't waste your life, Stark." I think that's like a theme that carries on throughout the MCU, specifically for Tony. Whether you believe that he did or didn't is up to you. His first suit, thick as hell.
I love it.
I find it very hard to believe that that suit could have not bust down that door in the first punch. Maybe second punch, tops. It took him like, what, 3-4 punches? But yeah, from this point on, you start to see Tony develop into Iron Man, and also correspondingly develop his suits, which, again, something I completely forgot about was the mechanical arm. I don't know why I did this. The mechanical arms. I love how, like,
That was cute, yeah.
personified they were, is that the word? Personalized.
But that's something that Tony does all the time.
Yeah, personification seems to be a running theme of like technology for him. So we obviously find out Stain is the villain of all villains.
Were you
in this
surprised by
movie.
that?
Honestly, no.
Same.
And then Stain builds his own suit, which honestly is just Iron Hulk.
When Stain is chasing Pepper, it's the exact same frame, the exact same scene from the Avengers when the Hulk is chasing Black Widow. It's exactly the same scene.
So overall, thoughts?
I enjoy this film a lot. It's funny, but it's not ridiculously funny.
I think that this movie really sets up like the Marvel humor.
Yeah.
Up until this point, like superhero movies has been pretty serious. They've either been like super wacky, like super like goofy, funny, or they've just been really serious. I thought Tony had like really good character development. Again, origin stories usually do.
I don't particularly agree with the whole idea of like every character ever has to have a redemption arc. I do believe that sometimes a character can just be bad. For this particular character, it's a really good idea of becoming like a superhero.
Yeah. I think it sets up that whole dichotomy, that double-edged sword that kind of carries Tony and his like moral compass throughout the movies. The whole like, I create evil, I must defend the evil.
Which is something really problematic as well. There are a lot of theories in which you can just connect almost everything back to Tony Stark in the comics and outside the comics.
Okay, so ranking. Plot and writing.
I liked it.
Ladies?
I think it's a really good plot. I think it's a good script as well, considering that it was 2008, how films tend to be really cringe back in the day.
Yeah, I agree that, like, the humour doesn't feel, like, forced or, like...
Or ridiculous, or dumb, you know?
Yeah, like, it doesn't feel, like, dumb or slapstick. It does feel just really natural, Yeah, I think it's decent. I think the pacing is really good. I like this whole storyline. I like his origin story as a whole. For plot, for me, I'd say, 5 out of 5 for me.
For me, the plot will also be a 5 out of a 5.
Yeah, so visuals for me, it wasn't anything spectacular, in my opinion, so but it was still really solid, really good, so I'd give it a 4 out of 5, just a personal feeling.
I'm gonna go with a 5.
Yeah.
Again, it's an old film, and the CGI is quite good. I think that...
Yeah, for 2008, it was...
Yeah, there's one scene that, like, for me, like, made some noise. I'm really picky when it comes to CGI, by the way.
I'm
very picky when it comes to Final battle when Stain is in the suit. Like, it looks quite unnatural and quite, like, bad. So, like, you...
that's fat phobia.
But yeah, you can tell that, like, that was not that good, but I truly think that it's a really, really good CGI. I do think that they, the use of space was really good in the movie. Like, for example, the most famous scene where, like, he just raises his arms.
The Jericho scene, yeah.
So,
the Jericho
like,
scene.
I do feel like the focus and the center of some of the scene of every scene was really well developed. Like, sometimes how it was, your focus was on the center or it was on the side. So that was really smart as well.
I should have said this in the overall, but it has like a classic modern feel. Like, there's this really great scene that I love where Stain pulls out Tony's arc reactor or should I say heart reactor, I'll kill myself, and kind of like holds it in front of his face, and it just reminds me of like old Chinese movies where like a guy would go into another guy's chest, pull out the heart and kind of like show it to them while they were dying. Like I just thought that was a classic scene, doing it in
like,
a way.
In terms of soundtrack, I think it's a really good soundtrack. I think that the score is really good. I'm not sure if I will like rate it a 5, but definitely it's a good soundtrack.
For me, the soundtrack wasn't like stand out. It wasn't super utilized well in the film. I remember 2 songs. I remember the AC/DC song at the beginning, AC/DC song at the end, and I love that. I love that kind of like how it opened and closed. So I'm gonna say soundtrack for me was a 3. Score, decent. Give it like a 4, maybe a 3 also. Again, it's just not my favorite. It's not my favorite. Rewatchability. I'd watch it again.
Same.
It's not my go-to MCU movie.
It's not my go-to MCU movie, but, and this is my opinion, I do feel like Iron Man, it's the best movie to open up and start a franchise. Because it was a good like origin story and because it's a good character.
Yeah. Yeah, I do agree with that. We were discussing that a little bit last night. I do think, again, I think we have an attraction to humanity, and at the core he's just human. He's just a guy with, you know, above average intelligence, of course, but he's just a guy, and that's his he does his
with
superpower
money
is his
well. Money.
The number 1 superpower. Hello. Like you said, his origin story in particular, we all see that in ourselves. We all want to make a change.
We love a flawed character. We love someone who is relatable at some point, who makes mistakes, you know, and like it's not perfect from the beginning.
So yeah, rewatchability for me would be like a 3, I'd say.
I will say a 4.
Okay. So there it is, number 1, done. Done and dusted.
We're officially the YouTubers.
I hope you enjoyed. I hope you laughed. I hope you cried.
Hopefully we'll see you next time.
Yeah, hopefully you're back, and if not, it was lovely to have you over, love. Pop round for a cuppa anytime. But we're off.